Ohio State must remain laser focused while prepping for their final non-conference test against Ohio.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Hump Day edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. During today's show, we will discuss what former Buckeye receivers did during week one of the NFL season, as well as why Ryan Day has the right mindset about college football potentially having one portal window in January. But first, the Buckeyes non-conference slate is almost over, from hosting Texas and Grambling in weeks 1 and 2 to now preparing for the Ohio Bobcats. And this Ohio Bobcat team is one that did a lot of good things a week ago in beating West Virginia. And now Ohio State already knew it's going to be another team coming in where it's that team's Super Bowl. But now you have more game film to look at to say this team has some good players. They won the MAC a year ago, so you know when winning the MAC, you may lose some guys from that team from the previous year, but that doesn't mean they weren't able to fill those vacancies with more solid players. Yes, Ohio State is a better team. Yes, Ohio State should win big. However, Ohio State can't view it like that and just say, oh, we have more talent, roll in there, be a little lazy, we'll win by 40. You can't do that. You must look at this opportunity as a time for Ohio State to get better and remain laser focused. Because if you look out there and you see the MAC logo, or if you see Ohio when it's not the Ohio State logo, you may be thinking, man, this is going to be a breeze. That's going to be so easy. We just got to roll in there and not go all out. We can go 75% instead of 110%. And while going that route, we'll be just fine. No, you can't do that. Because Ohio State's not trying to just beat Ohio. They're trying to beat Washington after the off week. They're trying to win the Ella Buck when going on the road to face the Fighting Illini. They're trying to go to Camp Randall and get a W. Can't forget Minnesota on homecoming day. You're trying to come off the second off week and beat Penn State, who is a really good team. And then all the other teams on the latter part of the season, in the regular season, we can't forget Michigan. That's what you're preparing for. You're preparing for 9 straight Big Ten games. You have 4, another off week, and then the rest. And Ohio State knows they have great talent. They have a lot of things going their way. They have surprised a lot of people, not just with Sayin's play, but by the defense as well. This team is looking really, really good, and they look like the best team in the country. But when you're the best team in the country, and you know you're Ohio State, even without being the number one in the country, you're going to get everybody's best shot. And if you're not preparing for the Ohio Bobcats like you are preparing for a Big Ten team, that's going to mess up your prep while preparing for a Big Ten team, because now you're trying to flip a switch that you've never turned on before. Yes, this is a game Ohio State should win big. But while prepping for this week, you're helping in preparation for 9 straight Big Ten games, for really, really physical games, for mental battles all game long, which is why when it comes to this game, stay laser focused, man. Treat this like a normal week. Don't dial it back. Don't turn the physicality off. Don't do any of those things. Just simply play your football and improve and get better, because that's the goal. The test for this week is not winning the game. The test for this week is, are you as an individual getting better? Are you as a unit, offensively, defensively, or your special teams unit, are you getting better? Coach, Ryan Day, Patricia, Hartline, any of the coaches, even the support staff, are you getting better? Everybody has individual tests and unit tests every single game, and you must pass those tests every single week, because that's showing improvement. That's showing that you're answering the questions, that you're well prepared for what needs to happen on that particular day. In Ohio State, it doesn't matter if it's Parker Navarro, who may not be a household name in college football, but he's a really good guy. But wait, he's not a household name. We ain't got to go all out. Definitely, yes, you do. Go out there and watch the film on Parker Navarro. He got some high praise from Ryan Day during his presser a day ago. And if you look at his numbers, you'll see this guy is not just some regular old G5 quarterback. No, he has some good things and good tools in his bag. Speaking of good tools in his bag, Ryan Day said while improving, one thing a team needs to improve right now is the punt return game. And I don't want to say this incorrectly because Ryan Day said it so well. He said he thinks that the Buckeyes lost 47 hidden yards with the ball bouncing around on the ground. He said a couple of the punts were very difficult because they weren't hit very well, but there were other ones that the Buckeyes could have fielded that they didn't. Brandon Ennis will still be back there returning punts, but you're going to see Jeremiah Smith or Carnell Tate or Caleb Downs back there fielding punts. And I think all four of those guys are great candidates and great guys that can take it to the house. Me personally, put Caleb Downs back there and let him rock every time. Now, I know Jeremiah Smith is great in the open field. So is Ennis, and Tate is too. But for some reason, when it comes to Caleb Downs, I trust his decision-making a little bit more sometimes than other guys. And that's not saying Smith makes bad decisions or Tate or Ennis. They all make great decisions. But Caleb Downs is kind of like a coach on the field. Literally, he's between the lines, but he's seeing things between the lines the same way a coach does. It's either on the sidelines or up in the box. And so his ability to be in the midst of the play, but still know how to read everything, it's huge. Ryan Day also called this a red flag. This was in a comment that he made about the punt return game, and he said we're going to stick to it. We got to do better. There's no question. Then he left us with this quote: "That's something coming out of the game that was a red flag that we got to get fixed." End quote. And when a coach says something is a red flag, your antennas go up, you start to pay more attention to it, you realize, oh, coach ain't playing. And Ryan Day shouldn't be playing because Ohio State has too much talent. Not just Downs and Ennis and Tate and Smith, not just those four guys. The Buckeyes have too much talent to not be an elite return team in kickoffs or punts. Kickoffs are harder. They do things to try to reduce some of the hitting and the physicality on that play. So, and I get that. But in punt return, there are a lot of punts out there that are hit that can be returned. But sometimes guys make bad angles or they don't put their foot in the ground and just go. That how Ryan Day realizes that. And Ryan Day understands if we get this right now, if we know this is a red flag now, and luckily it's early in the year, it's not deep into the playoffs, so you're trying to fix something that should have been fixed back in September. Ryan Day gets it. Knowing that this is a big week just because the Buckeyes have internal tests that they want to accomplish and they want to pass, but also knowing certain things are a red flag, and Ryan Day gets it. He understands. With the talent Ohio State has, and with how hard he has been coaching this team, there is absolutely no reason why the punt return game is the way that it is. There's none whatsoever. So moving forward, I'm glad Ryan Day called this red flag and pointed it out and talked about some of the details that we know if he says it to the media, they're getting it really hard in the meeting room as well. Hey, this is another test for Ohio State. Not just the team, but internally. There is a test for this unit to return the ball and not lose yards, but to gain more yards on that particular play. Also, another note from Ryan Day, Logan George, they're hoping and believing he's going to be able to play this week. He has not been on the availability report for the first 2 weeks, but he has not played yet. Looking to get Logan George, the Idaho State transfer, to be on the field this weekend for his first snaps as an Ohio State Buckeye. Speaking of snaps as an Ohio State Buckeye, there are guys that are in the portal that have aspiration to be a future Ohio State Buckeye. But if that portal window is moved to a different part of the year, those guys might not be able to be Ohio State Buckeyes. I'll tell you what I mean next. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. From footwork to breathwork, athletes let all the details. Mazda brings the same attention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Nappa leather upholstery. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. This episode is also brought to you by our friends over at DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For Ohio State, Julian Sayin delivered in a big way. He started off completing his first 16 passes against Grambling. He finished the game 18 of 19 with 306 and 4 passing touchdowns. When the pressure was on, Julian Sayin came through. No hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, this performance wasn't a fluke. Julian Sayin is on a streak. And just like Julian Sayin delivered for Ohio State, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash streaks. You save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. So normally this time of year, we don't dive into the transfer portal conversation because we're so fixated on what's going on with the Ohio State Buckeyes. There's a game coming up, there's an off week. What can we evaluate about the team to help the team get better? Or what have they done on the field lately that still sticks in our minds that we can discuss here on the show? Well, last week, there was a report that the committee, I don't know the exact name of the committee, is going to be voting on having one portal window, not two. One opens in December and then one opens in the spring. It will just be one portal window that would be in January. And in the part of January when the college football playoff is being played. Let that sink in for you. They are going to vote to have one transfer portal window that is, and only one window, that is during the period of the year when the best teams in the country are the only ones playing, and they're playing for a shot to win a national championship. And Ryan Day is not with it at all. And I'm happy Ryan Day is not with it because no coach in college football should ever be on board with having a portal window, and it's only one portal window. Well, that portal window is going to be in the midst of the college football playoff. Then they're going to tell me you're going to potentially have more teams in the playoff. Right now it's at 12. The belief is in 2026, there will be 14 or 16 teams. There's a proposal by the Big Ten, which I don't agree with at all, to have a 24 or a 28 team playoff. Now that's something that was more internal that got out, and then I reported on, and I think the Big Ten realized we look stupid. We look very dumb. We are simply doing things to try to gain more money and to gain more power, but the way we're trying to get it, it doesn't make any sense. And Ryan Day is a man that I don't always agree with, and I'm not afraid to say if I agree with something Ryan Day did or said, or if I don't. Like, I'm not afraid of that. But with this, Ryan Day and I are on the same page. This is stupid. And if that word is too harsh to use, I will try to clean it up a little bit and be a little bit nicer. This doesn't make any sense. I hope that's clear enough for you. I hope it's not something that I can't say on the show. Because this doesn't make any sense at all. The fact that there are people that are going to vote on, just simply vote on, a portal window being played during a college football, being open, during the college football playoff, and that's the only portal window throughout the entire offseason. Oh, wait. There are going to be teams that the offseason isn't even started yet, but they got to prepare for the next year while preparing to win a national championship. I know I've said that over and over, but as I say it more and more, it makes my head itch, and I want to scratch my head and really want to knock the cobwebs out of somebody's head because why would you do this? But I think when it comes to college football, a lot of the decisions that are being made by people that have no affiliation with the conference. They have no affiliation with the team outside of graduating from that particular university. And so they work for a totally different entity, and the entity they work for is trying to look out for themselves. You know who else is trying to look out for themselves and nobody else? Tony Petitti. He is responsible for the 18 institutions that make up the Big Ten Conference. Can't say football conference because there's more than just football in the Big Ten. Greg Sankey, Southeastern Conference. You get the gist. They are responsible for their conferences. I mean, for a very long time, it was the Big Ten played 9 conference games. The SEC played 8. Now it's going to be 9 next year, but that's the thing. The SEC is a really good conference. The Big Ten, a really good conference. But they weren't even on the same page about how many conference games they were supposed to play. I mean, there was a time that the Big Ten didn't play non-conference games early in the year. Conference games early in the year. You played all your non-conference games early. You got those out the way, and then you started your conference slate. Well, there were other conferences around the country that they had no problem playing a conference team week 1. The scheduling is weird. The oversight of who's in control and how they're handling this is weird. But the fact that this is going to be a thing, y'all, make it make sense. Oh, wait, you can't. Because it doesn't make sense. I would be a big fan of okay, so that portal window would be January 2nd through January 11th. That's what I thought it was going to be. Just didn't really click in my head when I mentioned it earlier. A 10-day portal window. Okay. What's wrong with that being in? Why can't that be in February or April or May? What's wrong with just waiting a little bit? Now, if you want it to be between the end of the previous season, and the start of spring practice, okay. Even though there's no concrete date for everybody around the country to start, you start when you want to start. There are days for the spring games, and everybody has a certain periods when the spring game's going to be, and so like you can schedule that however you want to. But if this is what's going to happen, or if this is how we're going to move forward, I can't get on board with it. Ryan Day can't get on board with it. If you put it in Ohio State's shoes, more often than not, Ohio State's going to be a Final Four team. More often than not. And if you go off of last year's calendar, you had your first round of bowl games. You had the first round the 20th and 21st of December, and then you didn't play again until New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. There was a Penn State game on New Year's Eve, and then there were 3 bowl games on New Year's Day. Rose Bowl, Ohio State and Oregon played in that one. We all know how that went. But that's when that happened. So after that New Year's Day, there's New Year's Eve and New Year's Day bowl games. You had 4 teams preparing to play, and about a week and a half later. And then after that, you had 2 more teams preparing to play about a week and a half after that. So let's just say you're one of those teams that play on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. And let's say you lose. You're trying to pick up the pieces of the season and do some last-minute housekeeping while also trying to retain your guys or discuss with them, should they go to the NFL or should they not, while also realizing y'all got 10 days to hop into the portal. 10 days. Now, they may extend it out a little bit because of the time when your season ended, which happened for Ohio State. Those players had a little bit of extra time because of when the season ended, which I hope that is still intact. But even talking about this right now, I almost say frustrated. I'll get frustrated in the next segment. You'll understand why in a second. But I just can't get on board with this. And I guarantee there are Big Ten coaches that don't get on board, that can't get on board with this. There are players that wouldn't get on board with this. There might be even people in that room voting. They may feel pressure to do something that they don't want to do because it doesn't make sense. In the NBA, will they ever have free agency during the season? No. In the NFL, will they ever have free agency during the season? No. Will they ever have free agency as free as it is right now in college football? Absolutely not. So no, you're giving more freedom for athletes in college that are between the ages of 18 and 22 years old than you give professional athletes that are making millions of dollars that are under contract with the professional team. Make that make sense. There are a lot of things happening right now that aren't what's best for the sport. but they're still happening because the decision makers sometimes don't make decisions that are what's best for the sport. You know what's best for the sport? Ohio State wide receivers that go off to the NFL and kill, because there are quite a few of them that did their thing during week 1 of the NFL season. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Once again, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by using FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. This episode is also brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you could end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. Thank you all for tapping and Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. You know what time it is. The everydayers know it's that time of week where we look at the stocks and discuss whose stock is rising and whose stock is falling. You know, when week 1 of the NFL season starts, there are certain things we have to discuss. It is those Buckeyes that are doing big things in the National Football League. So I got to put stock up on Zone 6, putting them boys in the league and putting them boys in the league in a way that allows them to go off. There are numerous former Ohio State receivers that did big things in the first week of the NFL season. Chris Olave had 7 catches for 54 yards. Marvin Harrison Jr. was out there stunting like his daddy with 5 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown. Garrett Wilson, back with Justin Fields, had 7 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 9 catches, 124 yards. And then Emeka Egbuka, the rookie, 4 catches for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns. And there was a quote and a video going around social media after the Buccaneers won that game where they were talking about Emeka Egbuka calling a shot before the play even happened, where he said, "Hey, I'm going to run a post here." And it reminded me about the national championship game when you got some inside scoop. We all did too. Some of the sideline conversations when Emeka Egbuka looked at either a sheet or a tablet and said, "Oh, go at number 29. Go at number 29." And who was that number 29 on 3rd and 11? Jeremiah Smith, number 4, was lined up across from number 29 from Notre Dame. Forgive me for not knowing his name off the top of my head, but all I know is Jeremiah Smith was one-on-one, and he caught that ball, and the Buckeyes won the Natty. And so Emeka Egbuka's brain is already one that has helped him win a national championship, but also quickly make a name for himself in the National Football League. I forget who it was, but I don't believe it was a member of the Buccaneers, but there was somebody down there during the Buccaneers training camp, and they saw Egbuka, and they thought he was a tight end. Just his size, the way he moved. Now, more of his size and the way he walked and carried himself around the practice field, they thought he was a tight end. No, he's a receiver. And then they said, homie has soft hands. His routes are so pure. He's in and out of the break so smoothly. And they're just raving about him as a receiver, thinking, how was this guy a rookie? And they're going to be thinking that all year long as a man that people are trying to figure out how he's a rookie is torching the opposing defense. Stock up on Bo Jackson. One of those running backs that I was very high on when he was going through the recruiting process, and then he committed to Ohio State. And then Isaiah West did as well, and Trevor Rogers. And I'm thinking Lachlan has 3 dogs to sign in one recruiting class. That's rare. But Bo Jackson, 100 yards against Grambling, scored his first touchdown as a Buckeye as well. And this young man, this is just a start, just a tip of the iceberg. Because I believe Bo Jackson, among the guys on the team right now, at the end of the day, he has a chance to be maybe the best or one of the best. Now, I'm not saying he's played better than James Heaple or Donaldson yet. I'm not saying that. All I am saying is, in a few years, when you get not Donaldson, when you give Bo Jackson to be the starting running back, people are going to be looking at him and saying, "This dude is a total package." He already came in physically ready to go, and that's rare for a guy coming from high school that doesn't have the strength and conditioning in high school that Ohio State's going to provide. They don't have the nutrition plans that Ohio State can give every single athlete that's tailored to what the goals are for them. And Bo Jackson looked really good against Grambling. You know who else looks really good against Grambling? Julian Sayin. Now, this might be a weekly thing for us because I don't know how you would not put him on this list when he went 18 to 19. His one incompletion was an interception. He completed his first 16 passes of the game. He also threw for 306 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, you can look at any throw he made and think ball placement was on point, the velocity was on point, the decision-making was on point. Even with the heavier RPO calls that Ohio State had against Grambling, Sayin didn't look phased. Sayin was ready to go. He looks like a gamer, and if that's what he is as a gamer, I ain't mad about it. You get 2 years of Julian Sayin being Ohio State's QB1. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I know there are people out there that are chomping at the bit and wanting Tavius St. Clair to start next year. Ain't no way. Ain't no way that's going to happen. What is going to happen is the stock down portion of this show. I got to make it kind of quick because I don't want to run out of time, even though it's probably going to happen. Stock down on Dave Portnoy being on Big Noon. Now, I know this isn't a new announcement. He's been on Big Noon for the first 2 weeks. But why? And I understand they want to try to combat Pat McAfee being at ESPN on College Game Day. There's a big difference between Dave Portnoy and Pat McAfee. McAfee has done a great job of shifting the way people view him post-retirement. Because while he was punting, he was also a comedian, and he did comedy shows around Indiana that were very, very popular. And then he started hosting his own sports talk show, the YouTube, there was a podcast. There was a lot of things he was doing. He was on DAZN. He was downtown Indianapolis. Now he has the studio in the Geist area in Indianapolis. And Peyton Manning, well, that's one guy that was on the show, but people don't view McAfee as a punter or a comedian. They view him as an opinionist, a sports commentator. Most people view Dave Portnoy as a businessman. Now, he's owned that business longer than McAfee has had his own show. Keep that in mind. Great for you, Dave Portnoy. But I don't think he makes Big Noon better. Honestly, I think he's brought more controversy than Fox may have thought they were going to do. Now, when you have the Barstool deal, maybe they're trying to figure out, hey, how can we get Dave Portnoy to have more FaceTime and to be on TV more? I would understand that, but I just don't get it. I don't get it. Is he a college football lover? Yes, he is. Does he provide the analysis that you want on that show? No. Does he provide the humor you want on that show? No. So why? Why Barstool? I don't know. I mean, Fox has enough creative people there. They can create their own morning show that actually hits. They can create their own goofy shows. Bring back Sports Nation with a different title and different version of it. The ESPN show that I wish ESPN brought back. You can have your own Sports Center, your own highlight field show. You can have a daily college football show. You can do so many different things that'll be unique to Fox, but Wake Up Barstool. I know it's not a part of the Big Noon thing, but even Wake Up Barstool on FS1, I've tried watching it. It doesn't pull me in. I'd rather watch Get Up. I don't even like Get Up, but I'd rather watch that to watch Wake Up Barstool. That's just me. Stock down on Ohio State's game this week being on the Peacock. I am not a fan of a game exclusively being on a streaming app. No. If it's on CBS, it's also on Paramount Plus. I'm cool with that. It's also on Paramount Plus. If it's on ESPN, it's also on the ESPN app. It's an also. If it's on Fox or if it's on NBC, it's also on a different app. But the Peacock exclusive? No. I don't even like Thursday Night Football being exclusively on Amazon Prime. And that's just me. That's just me. I like flipping through channels. I don't like commercials. If I'm on the Peacock, I can go to the YouTube TV to go back to watch a different game, but then I gotta quickly go back to the game and make sure that if it kicks me out, I gotta load it back up, and I may miss a play or two. So I just don't like it. It's a personal preference, and that's okay because this segment is definitely about, or the whole show entirely is about personal preferences and what's right and what's not right. Stock down on AP voters that don't really take the craft serious. And I'm not here to bash Haley Sawyer. Where I was listening on Tuesday morning to Dusty and Danny on Sirius XM radio, and they brought her name up. I had never heard of the young lady before. I found out that she covers USC, recently started covering USC. So, like, I understand very little about her and that she's new to the business. Great. That's cool. And maybe she's not. Maybe she's covered college football before or collegiate athletics before, and now she's just new to the USC beat. That's great. That's cool. But she was on a show or did an interview, and she discussed and said, hey, there are certain things about her process. She said she factors in the culture on top of the performances to when putting her ballot together. She is an AP voter. I'm thinking the culture. What does your culture have to do if you lose? If you're Florida losing the USF, what does your culture have to do with that? Absolutely nothing, because you lost the game. Your culture can't help you win. No, it can help you stay together, but you still got to go out there and play as a unit to win the game. I don't understand. And then she went on to say, I don't want to get too much into my process or logic. It's really fun, but it doesn't probably matter at the end. And the fact that she says it's really fun, great. It's fun being a voter. I love college football. I love the show. It's fun. But she says it doesn't probably matter in the end. It absolutely 100% matters in the end, because your vote, you can't rely on other people to hope that they vote differently than you, so everything evens out. That's what she says. Like, there's so many voters, everything kind of evens out. That is not a smart thing to say. It is not. And there are other voters out there that probably share the same viewpoint, that I'm going to put my ballot out there. It probably won't be the final 25, but somebody else is going to be a little bit different. It's all going to even out. That's not right. No. One, putting the culture into how you vote and put your ballot together, to me, that's weak. But number two, you should hope your ballot is a true top 25 every week. And when it doesn't be the top 20, and when it's not the top 25, okay, why isn't it? Are you wrong or are they wrong? But then also be able to back up every single pick, every single point. If you put a team at number 2, defend it. If you put a team at number 25, defend it. If you leave a team out, defend it. If you're an AP voter, this is serious business. And I hope that I only mentioned her because she was going around a little bit. I don't really knock Haley Sawyer. She probably does great work. She just happens to be an AP voter that has a bad viewpoint. She's not the only one, and I will say that. We just don't know about all the ones that have the bad viewpoints. She was on a conversation, it got recorded, and it got put out there, and her viewpoint, we all understand, is flawed. Thank you all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out Locked On College Football, because my guy, Spencer McLaughlin, is the person to help you stay up to date with everything going on in college football and help you prep for another wild and crazy weekend of the sport that we love. Follow Locked On College Football and Locked On Buckeyes right there on the YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes on a Wednesday. We'll see you next time.